Jacob Kornbluh joins us again, well-known blogger, has his finger on the pulse of what's happening politically. Welcome back to the program. How's it going?
Doing good, Zev.
So, what do you see out there? It seems that we might have a splintered Jewish vote.
The Jewish vote is it's going all ways. I mean, if in the general you see a trio between Quinn, Thompson, and de Blasio, when it comes to the Jewish vote, you can count Wiener, Eric Salgado, and maybe Lou among them. So everybody is going to get his portion, although observers say that Bill Thompson and Bill de Blasio will get the bigger chunk of the vote.
And what about, well, you're right that Bill de Blasio and Bill Thompson, certainly, the two Bills have good relationships and spent years working within the Jewish community.
Bill Thompson has a lot of support within the community, between the rank and file, and voters see him as a serious guy, as a well-mannered guy, and somebody that won't be too risky to put their trust in them. When it comes to Bill de Blasio, he represented Borough Park when he was his 8 years in council. He still maintains a good relationship with the leadership, with community leaders and so. But I haven't seen him doing any outreach in the community, which you can say outright that voters would see him as the best choice for mayor.
Why do you suppose that he hasn't? It would make sense for him to spend some more time in cultivating and advertising and promoting to the Jewish community. Why do you suppose that's not taking place?
I guess, first of all, he's relying on the general view that he is well-favored among Orthodox Jews. He's also, in the latest Marist poll, I think he was leading among Jewish voters with 30%. It may be he is just looking to expand his base. He puts himself out as a progressive candidate, and if he would come, for instance, to the Jewish neighborhoods and tout his progressive policies, it won't play well among voters. If he relies on his name recognition in the Jewish community, voters won't look in too much to his policies. They'll just remember, oh yeah, we know Bill de Blasio. Yeah, he's a friend of the Jewish community. I'll vote for him.
Interesting, because, Elliot Spitzer has a similar tactic where he's not doing a lot of campaigning. He's doing some and mixing with television, so I guess he's controlling the environment where he's going to be in. And what you're saying is Bill de Blasio is doing something similar.
Elliot Spitzer is relying in general on his name recognition in order to go out there to certain communities that are not too favorable to him. I mean, we know that he's leading among black voters, among women voters, but that lead is not substantial. Scott Stringer could make inroads. We just saw reports 2 days ago that Stringer has some advocates in the African-American community campaigning for him. In the Jewish community, we know Scott Stringer, according to the polls, is leading among Jewish voters, and in the Orthodox community, we know he has maintained a strong relationship, and he would be a favorable choice among Orthodox voters. So Elliot Spitzer courting Orthodox Jewish voters, courting black voters, is just to maintain his lead, relying on his name recognition among the general electorate.
Now, you're saying, now I'm talking to people in the Spitzer campaign, and they seem to be convinced there's going to be a huge victory for Elliot Spitzer come primary day. You see that? Because I see the race tightening up, but they seem to believe that it's going to be a total lopsided victory for them.
I would also say that it won't be a close race. Unlike the mayoral race, I think people like to go with the winner, and since there hasn't been any, he didn't have bad press other than the tabloids, which Orthodox Jewish voters or general voters don't pay attention to the headlines in the New York Post or the Daily News. Endorsements don't speak much to them. So I really see it tightening up with such a big lead, a 19-point lead. I don't see it as a close race at the very end.
You see that you believe Spitzer is going to win by big numbers.
Yeah.
See, the only thing that intrigues me is I think, the way it's going right now, you have all the major papers that came out. There is supposedly talk about big campaign money that's going to be used to go against Spitzer. If that indeed materializes, I think it can change the dynamic, because one of the reasons why Elliot Spitzer has such a huge lead is because of his television advantage. If you're going to find a coalition of groups that are looking to keep him out, you might see that dynamic, that whole thing change.
Sometimes opposition helps, but when you don't offer any substantive alternative, people say, okay, so Spitzer was a bad governor. Spitzer did some bad choices when he was governor or when he was attorney general. We understand that, but he is now viewed as a better person, and he has this charisma when he meets with people, when he talks, when he goes on national TV. What Scott Stringer doesn't have. Scott Stringer is a great man. He did great for the community. He's one of us. He has the support, but we haven't seen him capitalize this support that he has. He has the support of every newspaper, of every politician, of every group that's out there. And we haven't seen in the past 4 weeks that it helped him too much. Why would another few $1 million help him overcome what he couldn't overcome in the past 4 or 5 weeks?
Well, I certainly think the momentum's with Elliot Spitzer. The question, though, is to what numbers. I just see it tightening. I just don't see the same wide margin as they say in this camp. I think it'll be a much closer race as we get closer to primary. That's just my personal feeling. I don't think you're going to see a 19-point gap.
New York, never say never.
Exactly. I don't just see a 19-point gap. That's what I was looking at. Any other surprises that we're getting closer to Election Day? What a big fact. What about the Sephardic Jewish candidate, Jack Hidary?
Jack Hidary is not competing in the primaries, so
Correct.
You'll hear from him much more in the general when it comes down to 3 or 4 candidates. He'll get a bigger platform. He'll use his money that he claims he has to create this dynamic marketing outreach, which he didn't use yet, because the voters are focused on the primaries. But in terms of support, listen, it all has to do with how people are going to view him as a credible candidate. If people see, hey, he has a vision, he's doing well, maybe we are sick and tired of partisan politics, maybe we will go with him, and then you'll see his numbers rise, his appearances get more more attention, and maybe he'll be viewed as a credible candidate. I don't see it yet because you haven't seen him campaigning yet too much.
Right, and do you think he has the commitment? Because if he really wants to be mayor, as opposed to just running for the sake of running, you got to commit a lot of money, and he certainly can commit the resources. But the question is going to be, will he?
Speaking to his campaign, they sound very confident, and they say he is committed. He has no reason to go out there, spend the money just for name recognition, since he has, in the business world, he has his time, he has his business, he has his wealth, he has his connections. So to say that he's out there just to create a bigger role of himself to, for future runs, I think he has the commitment. And it just remains to be seen whether voters tune in, whether voters give him a chance to offer this alternative he claims he offers, which no other candidate so far has offered.
Are people focusing in on the elections yet? Because it's really a short period away. It's the people in summer, back to school, holidays. Question is, how focused are people out there to the election?
People know about the elections. They are not tuned in to specifics. They haven't looked yet in what Christine Quinn is proposing, what Bill Thompson is now proposing, what Bill de Blasio offers that Wiener hasn't offered. They know there's a race, and you're going to have the first debate on Wednesday, then you're going to have a round of debates the following week. You're going to have, whenever you turn on the TV or the radio, you're going to hear ads from all of the candidates. So it's not like people tuning in, but the candidates are going to tune themselves in through the voters' mind, and the voters would look at a few things. Voters can look at polls and get influenced by the polls. Voters could look at personality, at outreach, the candidate coming to their community, to their neighborhood, the candidate speaking with them, their own preference in terms of policies. So people will make up their minds within the next 2 weeks. The question is, does it create another turmoil in the campaign, which you'll see Bill de Blasio losing steam, Christine Quinn gaining steam, Anthony Weiner making a comeback, John Liu getting back a little support, or will you just see it like as a three-man race that we are seeing right now with Weiner in the bottom and Bill Thompson and Bill de Blasio struggling to get into the runoff against Christine Quinn?
You want to take a prediction who is going to win?
No, I wouldn't put my credibility on the line right now. If you ask me in a week or two, I will be more confident in my prediction. As of now, it seems that only one candidate is going to win the runoff primary, and that candidate will face 2 or 3 candidates in the general election. That's all I can predict.
I want to thank you, Jacob Kornbluh, a well-known blogger. Thank you for being here with us and giving us some insight into what's going to shape up to be an exciting race.
Always a pleasure there.
Thank you, and we're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned.